CPAC is back, the Conservative Political Action Conference. It's the craziest gathering of conservatives each year. We look forward to it here because we get to talk about all the clowns and their crazy attempts to appear the most extreme as they can to usually to fuel presidential runs, things like that. And so the clowns have gathered near D.C. They sent their king clown, Ben Carson, to forward the new argument for Republicans. That argument being that it is Republicans, conservatives, who are actually those defending and protecting the poor. So here is Ben Carson at CPAC.
I'm for putting our health care in our hands and not in the hands of some bureaucrat. And for balancing our budget. And for a fair taxation system that allows us to get rid of the IRS.
So they're going to simplify everything. And what I love about that is they want the health care in our hands, not in the hands of bureaucrats, because the private health insurance companies, those huge buildings filled up with thousands of people, none of them bureaucrats.
No, they're all doctors.
Yeah, he's being honest. He does want your health care to be in your own hands. He wants you to be uninsured, having to sew your own stitches.
And I like how he said there, we're going to get rid of the IRS. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that sounds simple.
Yeah. They've gotten close recently with the defunding.
That's right. They keep defunding it so that they can't do any audits.
Yeah.
Gee, I wonder why they don't want to do audits. Maybe because a lot of their donors are tax cheats or hide their money abroad, and they don't want the IRS to find out. Gee, I wonder why the incredibly rich donors care about getting rid of the IRS.
Yeah, it's strange how they're in favor of law and order. They want a lot of police to make sure that people don't break the law. When it comes to tax law, police should be optional.
Yeah. Well, of course, the reality is that law and order is total crap. They don't mind breaking the law when it comes to spying on us, when it came to, illegal invasions, when it came to, torture, which is against the law, but they did it anyway.
Extrajudicial killings. Right. They don't really care about that.
They're full of crap. Yeah. But again, on this IRS issue, and they applaud. It's like saying, and then if I am elected president, I will immediately shut down the United States of America. Like there'll be no government. We'll run wild in the streets, but we have the guns. Yeah. And we'll keep all the money. And how can you cheer that? That makes no sense. If there's no IRS, how do we collect money? How do we have this wonderful Defense Department that you love so much and would like to start many wars with? Yeah. Right? Oh, I don't know. Oh, flat tax. Yeah, that's it. Well, even if you had a flat tax, you'd need the IRS to collect it.
Yeah. It'd be so simple, though. Anyway, okay, so why don't we push on to Ben Carson's second clip. This is where he gets into that argument about protecting the poor from the government, which wants to make them dependent.
We need to move in a very different direction. We need to understand what true compassion is in order to reach out to individuals who think that maybe being dependent is reasonable as long as they feel safe. And it isn't. It really is not compassionate to pat people on the head and say, there, you poor little thing, I'm going to take care of all your needs, your health care and your food and your housing. Don't you worry about anything because it's all those bad people who's causing your problem and I'm going to fix it. That's not compassion. That's the opposite of compassion. That is making people dependent. What real compassion is using our intellect to find ways to allow those people to climb out of dependency and realize the American dream.
So he's attacking the Great Society here. Now, look, when you talk about dependency and how some government programs could create that, I actually think that that's an interesting conversation. I was for welfare reform during the Clinton era. I think that if you continue to give people a certain amount of money for doing X, normal incentives and disincentives lead you to believe that they might continue to do X, right? Now, there's a ton of other factors. There's Y and Z, and what, is that enough money for them to be able to live on? And what about a job? Yada, yada. But I believe that taking that into account is not an unreasonable position. But what they're saying is, no, don't help them. No, it's just going to make them dependent, right? So just gumption will do it. But that's not true. Like if he was making an argument, hey, you know what, let's craft a policy that helps people when they're down, it gives them an opportunity, gives them hope, et cetera, but then is structured in a way to provide the right incentives and disincentives, then I think we're having an entirely different conversation.
Yeah, but he's not talking about job training.
Yeah, job training, that would involve spending rich people's money on non-rich people. We're not going to do that. He's talking about shutting it down.
Yeah, and that, like, here's the thing, like, you could talk about bootstraps all you want, but when you are trying to lead the party that cuts food assistance for children, like, they can't fit in the boots yet. They're 5. They need to eat, okay? They're not going to develop. Their brains are not going to develop. You talk about intellect, you're severely stunting the growth of their intellect by cutting billions of dollars from SNAP programs and things like that. Like, it's one thing to say, okay, there should be a limit on how long you should be able to get welfare or unemployment, and I totally understand that. But when you represent the party, one of the two parties, that wants to protect the bankers who crashed the economy and made it so that somebody could be on unemployment for months and months and months and months without being able to find a job because the economy is cratered, you have much less moral authority or a much worse moral position to say that we should cut that off. So, especially when you're being paid, you're not out there chopping wood, you're not mining coal. All you're doing is you're a token representative of a minority group that your party hates who goes up there and makes speeches. So stop talking about hard work.
Yeah. Now, back when you were a neurosurgeon, that was a different conversation, right? So now he went on to label all great society programs that try to end welfare that Lyndon Johnson started as great failures. People say that flippantly. Like, and when I was a kid and I'd been brainwashed by the Republicans, I would say things like that. Oh, Lyndon Johnson was a failure, man. Oh, war on poverty was stupid, right? It's easy for us to say when we're not living in 1964. You want to go back to 1964? You want to
1934?
Texas, Kentucky, Mississippi, etc. You want to go back to those conditions before they started passing some of these programs? No, you don't. Because it's easy when you're nice and comfortable here, and our standard of living is significantly higher than it used to be. People were starving, man. I mean, that wasn't a joke back then.
Or freezing to death.
Right, and you know why they're not starving in the streets anymore? Because we have programs that give them a tiny amount of food that prevents starvation.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody's getting rich off of welfare. So the only people that are getting rich off of welfare are the guys getting the checks for corporate welfare.
Yeah, totally.
I mean, when you get $40 billion in subsidies and your oil industry overall, that's how you get rich. Yeah. These guys are getting just enough to live on.